After weeks of postponement, the governing All Progressives Congress is set to choose the individual that will fly the party's presidential flag in the 2023 general election. Well, the process of the presidential primary kicks off today, the 6th of June. It's to end on the 8th. The APC Presidential Screening Committee has now screened 23 aspirants who have met with the leader of the party, President Muhammadu Buhari. The party's presidential ticket has now been zoned to the south, with the charge from President Buhari to the aspirants to pick a formidable candidate amongst them for the party. How will it all play out? Let's discuss this. Joining us in the studio is the Director, Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Killer. Welcome to TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Of course, we've been following, the developments in the ruling party before this moment. Earlier on, the president, gave everybody some form of, uncertainties regarding his decision to pick his own choice of a flag bearer, and now it's been narrowed to the south.
Yes.
Talking about, the need to maintain order in the party. How does this all seem to you?
Well, I think, this is a high-level game. There's no doubt about it. There are uncertainties because the consequences are going to be dire. So one expects drama and, one is very careful. All the players are careful. I do not think it has been managed very well, given the level of the kind of what is at stake. I think there's been some amateurish acts along the way. There's no doubt. But now it's going to play out. Two things are very clear. One is that contrary to what the president said before, when he said, I don't care who succeeds me, it is now clear that he cares and he wants to play ball. That's a crucial factor. The other thing is that majority of the northern APC leaders have agreed that they want to move the flag bearership to the south. That is a crucial thing. I say majority because most news have said, Yaya Bello disagrees. He didn't sign that document. But obviously, most of them, the very big majority have agreed, and that is what matters. The role of the president is influential because he's the supreme leader. Everybody wants their supreme leader to endorse them, regardless of what they say. Well, here's the point. Whilst the president shows interest, which I think is legitimate for him to have an interest, I think he's gone about it the wrong way. But more importantly, whilst his role is very important, I think he's overrated. I think now what matters is people's reaction. It's a test of leadership for you to say you prefer the other person to me, and I as a politician, I say to you, let's go and try it out. Am I more popular? Or am I just going to toe that line? It's a test of leadership because ultimately the idea is this. These people that we're looking at, who are aspirants and the people supporting them, they are leaders of other people. It is their duty to test how popular they are within their party and how persuasive they are amongst their peers. So that is what we're going to see, come out today. The talk for consensus is there. Contrary to what people think, I think it's legitimate to try to see that let us find a way to do it.
And prune
people. And above all, so that we do not have a divided house, so that we don't have people who go away very angrily. But it's also legitimate for me to say, don't do consensus against me, if I was an aspirant. If all of a sudden the consensus seems to be going in a way of trying to go against a particular person or a group of people, then that will be a gang up, not consensus. And these are the things that we're going to see play out, I think.
Well, the president issued a statement or that addressed the governors before he traveled out of the country over a week ago. I analyzed it in my column today when he said, I solicit your reciprocity
yes.
and the support of the governors and other stakeholders
yes.
in picking my successor.
Yes.
And everybody went to town saying that this man wants to pick, he has a particular person he wants to pick and he wants them to support him. Then after the uproar had lasted a few days, Adesina comes out and says, this man never said anything you guys are saying.
Yeah.
And if you look at the sentence, as I analyzed in my column today, you can read it both ways and so on. Was it incompetence of the writer or mischief of the writer?
Okay. Let us start from saying that one thing is clear. Additional did not read that speech before they sent it out. Because additional, we can induce us.
Professor Killer, let me put you on hold while we, hear you out. We also need to get to hear from TVC News correspondent Celestina Area, who is live for us at the Eagle Square. Good morning, Celestina. What updates do you have for us regarding the start of the APC primary exercise slated for today?
Good morning, Kemi. As far as the eyes can see, the Eagle Square is ready to be used. Behind me is the cubicle where the VIPs will be seated. It's beautifully decorated, and also you can see the decorations around the Eagle Square, the lightnings. You can see behind me also, beside me rather, we have a makeshift box studio for the sound. Where I'm standing currently on the rug, which will be used as a walkway that leads to the stage, and also to where the VIPs will be seated. We have boxes that will be used as a platform where the ballots will be cast, and also the stage is ready to be used. You can hear a subtle music playing on the ground, and we also have the screens where guests or delegates who cannot see from where they are seated to the stage can watch through the screen. So the Eagle Square, as I speak now, is ready to be used. So moving outside, the security is very tight. We'll have the police in collaboration with the NSCDC. We have the NSCDC, some of them came with canine dogs. So, and also in the Eagle Square, we'll have ambulances placed at strategic locations in case the need arises. And we're expecting over 2,300 delegates today, and the Eagle Square has the capacity to accommodate that number.
Right, from what you see, from what you've told us, from what we see now, of course, we've seen the props, and you've also talked about the preparations being in top gear. But in terms of a timeline now of event, nothing much seems to be known. We also hear about the screening procedure of delegates today. So, Celestina, tell us more. When are we likely to see the real action?
Okay, I can say the climax of the events will happen tomorrow, but for today it's just preparations. And yesterday we have the medical committee of the APC for the special convention. They were here. The national chairman of the party was also here. We have the chairman of site and venue was here. What the chairman of accreditation? They were here to ensure that everything is in order. The Eagle Square is at the center of the FCT. What we have around us is the Federal Secretariat. We have different ministries here, which leads, we also have, along these routes, we have the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, we have the National Assembly, and the FCT police, days before today, sent out a press statement as to diversions. So the police will ensure that motorists make use of the diversions created, so they will not be stuck at any gridlock. So far, so good, Kemi. As the eyes can see, as far as the eyes can see, I beg your pardon, the Eagle Square is ready to be used.
All right. Thanks a lot, listener. That will be all for now. Of course, you're one of the many crew members that TVC News has outlined out there at the Eagle Square ahead of today till Wednesday's primary exercise of the APC there. Well, back to the studio. Professor Killer, you were responding to Sam's question.
Yes, the point is Sam Addition is an editor before being...
Femi Additional.
Before being a spokesman of government. So, I mean, he has edited papers. The first rule in the newsroom is that a text should not be equivocal. You read it and you understand it and it means one thing. That is the golden rule for editors. So, obviously, he did not read the text, let us say so, before it was sent out. He's managing it later. But we must also say something, that this president has a knack for needing correction every time it's clear. Every time he says something that is straightforward, there tends to be a need to reinterpret it, to say it doesn't mean that. Look, I stand that the expression reciprocal, it is not a word you use every day. It is something they went to look for, and the message was clear, and it was sent. I repeat, it is legitimate. There's no need to shy away from it. I think it's legitimate. Is it true that governors influence their successor? Right. Yes. Is it true that the president might want to influence his successor? Yes. But is it fair that he tries to impose his own choice on people? The key word there is impose versus persuade. Dictate rather than seek collaboration. that is the argument. It's not that it's illegitimate for him to have a choice. That's the point.
Well, you use the word persuade and impose.
Yes.
From Buhari.
Yes.
Can persuade not also mean impose?
Well,
or even anyone, as a matter of fact, anyone who is able to be
he used the word
president.
I solicit.
Yes.
In other words, I am Buhari
strongly
begging you, and when I beg you, it means I am saying it's either this or never.
That is like the class teacher saying, I solicit you submit your essay.
Your essays
I solicit in 2 minutes. I solicit that you stop writing immediately now.
Yeah.
Yes, that is it. You see, this is, I've argued this long ago, that this is the fault of APC leaders. We've created a deferential system rather than a democratic team system. We've created a system where, by the way, this must be said of this president that I have defined aloof in some of my writings, whose tendency is not to be involved in things. But members of the party have too many times, and I underline too many, have too many times left the things unmanageable, then go to him for management or decide in his name. This has given somebody who is not an operational person too much power and too much importance. I believe moving forward, because you see, let's not do a game play, it saves nothing. Moving forward, the new president we're going to invite, and here I appeal to delegates, actually, for this party. The new president that will emerge should be somebody available, accessible, and influenceable. It should be the first among peers. It should be a partnership, not we consign ourselves to you as our father and you rule us from far. It should be somebody that would think that we can discuss it, somebody we can criticize, somebody we can correct, and indeed somebody we can admonish.
But aren't we being, a bit, one-sided now? If we look at, and he has also said, which we've all noted, that governors had this power,
yes,
which they wielded on who succeeds them. So it may not be about President Buhari. I mean, the name Buhari. Anyone else who was occupying that office would naturally want to wield that same power.
Absolutely.
Even though you say it's unhealthy.
I think it's unhealthy. You see, and this goes to the anthropological issue. There is a myth and a misconception about humanity. We tend to imagine human beings are good.
All right.
By
Professor
nature,
Killer,
yes.
kindly conclude on that point, because I want to take you up on the issue of zoning, how significant it must be for the APC.
I just feel that this idea about humanity, thinking people are naturally good, innately good, is a misconception and a myth. Human beings, we are children of assassins, usurpers, and those who survived are people who outdid their neighbors, who conquered other lands. So, we are children of evil people, generally speaking. That is how we survive. The soft one died. Anytime we get together, especially in a public affair, we need to bear in mind that whoever has power might abuse it. So therefore, when we plan our unions, whether it's a society of political party or business, we need to put in place that will not allow whoever is in power to abuse it. We need to keep remembering that we're not slaves. We came here voluntarily and out of shared interest. So when we form a political party together, I need to say immediately, guarantee me, this is my interest, this is yours. We're partners, and let's keep talking that way.
Right.
So you're actually talking about the social contract.
The social contract, exactly.
People like Locke, Rousseau.
Yes, for Locke and Rousseau,
Hume,
exactly.
and all of them.
Yes.
And, we have to have terms of engagement.
Terms of
social
engagement.
Contracts are always different.
Exactly.
We have found out that even in modern society, social contracts can be even monarchical.
Absolutely.
And that seems to be what we are seeing in the APC today,
exactly,
where everybody seems to be looking at the president as though he's a monarch, of APC, yes, whereas it's just a Democrat.
It's a Democrat.
Who is put there.
It's a senior partner.
Yeah. That's why, when the party chairman, Adame, was responding to what Tinubu said, and he was speaking as the president as though we are in the era of divine rights of kings,
yes,
where the man is actually a mystical figure, whereas he was elected by the people, and so on and so forth. But then, this issue of the APC coming together, are they conscious of the fact that they have Atiku to fight with, and that they need a strong face, a strong force to fight Atiku? Because if you don't get the right man to fight Atiku, by 12 noon, in election day, will be thinking of a coronation rather than a contest.
So here's the point, and that will take us to the zone you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
The situation now in APC is like that of a polygamous family, in which they want to share the legacy of the late head of family. Somebody wants to take over. In a polygamous family, when that happens, every mom thinks their child has a right to it. They push them, and every child they have a right to it. Some people will say, let's not do it by age, let's do it by root, let's divide it by faction. That is what's going. There is another great aggravating point for the APC, that whilst the children are fighting for that, you see, in polygamous family, it remains between them. In this case, whilst they are fighting, an outsider, i.e. Atiku, i.e. PDP, might take it from all of them. So at some point, they have to see the real, quote-unquote, enemy. They have to see the real competitor outside them and get together to say, which one of us is the best knight to go and do this battle? Because ultimately, what is happening there? People are going to vote, but in reality, you know, like in the Middle Ages, what is happening is that two knights are going to enter and duel among themselves. So you really want to pick who can wield the sword better than anyone else. And that, I think, is the only thing you're talking about. You're looking at all factors to see which one can actually stand the man.
But unlike the PDP, that, you know, this was like an agreement in the party, but then they decided to still, you know, stick with Mr. Abubakar. Well, how significant is it that the APC initially said it was going to be open, or initially said it was going to be by zoning, and then they went the way of open, and now they've narrowed it down to the south?
I think we have to be careful with terms here. History will be clear, and, you know, people check and rewrite it. The APC did not zone. The party itself did not zone to the south. What happened is that northern leaders agreed that they're going to support a southerner in what they see in, you know, homage to the principle of rotation and fairness, as they call it.
But wasn't there consultation wherein the northern elders prodded somewhat?
Well, yes, I mean, they must have spoken to themselves. I mean, Nigeria, one person speaks for millions, in a way. You know, one will expect the old political days. Some of us grew up in the days of the UPN, where you went to your wards to go and be informed, you know, on what is going on. And really, what was discussed there would then be translated to what will be said in the state and the secretariat.
Yeah, so what we have is de facto zoning,
which is the
way conventions work
anyway. Yes, indeed. Yes. Anyway, there shouldn't be a rule for it. I think APC, and I really say this passionately to APC delegates, between today and tomorrow, the leaders should be looking at the best way to win. Those who are going to vote, if they eventually vote, should be thinking of who can win for us. Ultimately, that is what it boils down to.
Who's our Ronaldo?
Who's our
against their Messi?
Against their own message. And ultimately, this idea is this. Once you have the most persuasive person, everybody will form a block around that person. Nobody from the north can win without the south. Nobody from the south can win without the north. That means you need somebody that will be acceptable across board. And then after that, those who supported him, will be able to access and influence that person. I keep repeating this thing because I have a concern about leadership without interaction in this country. It is not only unfair and generous and democratic, but I think it's also unproductive.
All right, thank you. I think that's what the president was actually is trying to create.
Right, and of course, these are crucial times for the APC. We'll see how best they make use of this opportunity. Professor Anthony Killer, thanks a lot for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast.